I'm Derrick Porter, and you're listening to Behind the Scenes of Music in the Spoken Word. Today, we have the wonderful opportunity of visiting with Ryan Murphy, Associate Conductor for the Tabernacle Choir and Orchestra at Temple Square. Welcome, Ryan. It is wonderful to have you with us this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're especially grateful that you're here because you have just returned in the last 48 hours from a 7-day assignment down to South America, where you, along with Mack Wilberg, conducted and led the choir in 3 different concerts for many tens of thousands of people. I can only imagine that you're still recovering a little bit from that journey.
And you too, I think. So
we're in it together, but I think you worked far harder than I did down there.
I'm not sure about that, but it was definitely a life-changing experience being down there with those people.
Tell us briefly what you felt, what you learned, what that experience was like.
Oh, my heavens. I think whenever you go somewhere else, and I had never been to Argentina, and you experience the culture and the people, there's a falling in love that happens, and there's no exception here. Just had such a wonderful experience and felt so warm and embraced by everybody down there, and hopefully was able to share some of the light and the joy that the choir can bring.
Well, it certainly seemed to me that you and the choir and the orchestra and everyone involved were successful in that endeavor, as my wife and I had opportunity to sit and to watch and observe these concerts, both in Argentina, but then to go to Paraguay, where we went and joined in local celebrations where we had almost 500 stake centers across South America tuning in live and watching this performance. And it was no less impressive watching through YouTube with a live audience than it was in the actual space itself.
That's amazing. You're going to have to tell me more about that at some point.
Well, It was a fun experience, and I would love to. Now, we're here today to talk about this journey that you've been on of a lifetime, which has brought you, I would imagine, to places where you never dreamed you would have been, including just this last week again down in Argentina. So tell us how this all started, about those earliest days of getting involved in music.
Well, how far back do you want to go?
As far back as you'll take me. I'd be interested to hear what your earliest memory was when you thought, I love this. This is what I want to do.
My parents, to hear them tell it, they recognized very early that I loved music and I would sing all the time and pull myself up against the record player and go to the beat. And when I was 5 years old, my dad decided that he had always wanted to take piano lessons and hadn't had the opportunity when he was young. And so he and I started taking piano lessons together. And
Wow.
for 3 or 4 years, we went each week to our lesson and
No kidding.
and did it together, and we would practice together. And that went on for a while. And it was actually a really great way to start, to feel that support from my dad, doing that together. And he said that he stopped when he felt that I passed him. He didn't want to play anymore. But he still plays to this day. And he and my mom have always been musical and always been really supportive of me with music. So
that's a pretty amazing experience to be able to cherish and have, of going weekly.
Yeah.
Think about now that you're a father and I'm a father, that must have been a real sacrifice for him to carve out that time.
I think so, yeah. It was just really, again, like I said, a very affirming way to start my journey with piano and with music. So
as a young boy, you joined a boys' choir where you performed Handel's Messiah among other numbers. What was the age range in that time, and what kind of music were they performing?
Yeah, I think it was about 3rd grade, and the director of the Episcopal Boy Choir in our town actually came into our school recruiting, and I went home and told my parents I really wanted to do it, and to their credit, they were supportive and let me do it, and so that began a history that went on for quite a while, where I was involved in this boy choir at this church, and for many years they were running me to both Episcopal services and the LDS services in our town, and
on Sundays. You were
on Sundays,
double duty with church.
Yeah, in fact, I remember I was actually the pianist for primary when I was in primary, because they didn't have anyone else that could play, and so I'd rush back from the Episcopal service and go to primary and play the piano for primary. But yeah, it was. I really owe a lot to that church, because they exposed me to a lot of great music at a young age. Like you said, we did Handel's Messiah when I was age 11, and the entire work. And so it was just really a really pivotal experience in my history.
What a formative experience, and I can almost see those days. You grew up where, by the way?
I was in Newtown, Connecticut.
Newtown, Connecticut. You must have been one of the holiest boys of your age, with going to not only one church service every Sunday, but two, but also not sleeping through them, participating in them. That says a lot.
Yeah, well, and there were other boys my age doing it, and so you feel like you're not alone. It feels it was just a really great experience.
So fast forwarding to high school, as I understand it, you even had some opportunity to direct choir performances while you were there.
I did. I had a fantastic director in high school, and I was really fortunate that he, placed a lot of trust in me at that age and let me help rehearse things sometimes. And I wouldn't say I directed a lot, but there was a performance where at Christmas time where the choirs perform a lot, and he couldn't make this particular performance, and he said, that's okay. You guys go and you sort of take charge of directing and starting the songs and those things. And so he really boosted my confidence at a young age and let me help out a lot with the choir, which was great.
So on that first maybe inaugural directing performance that you did in that Christmas, were you nervous or did you feel full of confidence? Do you remember how you felt as you stood up there in front of everyone for that first time?
I think it was more exciting. And I was with friends that it's great to make music with, and so it was kind of an exciting thing. I'm sure I was a little nervous too, but it was very memorable for sure.
Well, also in high school, you participated in musical theater.
I did. I was one of these guys that always played the piano in the pit, starting in junior high school, and my last year of high school, I sort of realized, hey, this is it, and this might be my only chance to be in a show, and so I thought it'd be fun to be in the chorus, and so I actually auditioned for the show that year, just thinking, it'd be great to have some small part, and then I was very surprised when I came the next day and I had the lead in the show. I was probably pretty nervous about that one and not prepared for that, but it ended up being a great experience.
What was the show?
That show was Grease, and so I was Danny Zuko, so
wow.
Not typecasting really, but I had a lot of fun doing it. So
we might need to see if we can go resurface some old pictures as Danny Zuko.
Yeah, luckily the internet was not big at that point, so...
Now, during that high school time, I did a little bit of research online about you, and as we all know, you can trust everything that's on the internet, but I understand that you may have fronted a Led Zeppelin-style cover band. Is that true, yes or no?
I'd say not exactly. I'm not sure how you found that piece of information, but
it's on the internet.
I was in a band right after high school, and I didn't front it, but I had a friend who put it together, and I played keyboards, and we all took turns doing vocals for that band, and it was actually a really great band. And but we did covers, so we did Led Zeppelin, as you mentioned, and we did REM, we did The Doors. We kind of did a really wide variety, and it was great. It was great. I sang The Ocean by Led Zeppelin, which I still think is a great song to this day. And
do you ever see the choir doing this song in any way, shape, or form?
I can't predict what the choir will do in the future, so I'll keep silent on that one.
What an amazing experience! I mean, music then has been a part of your life for your entire life, really.
It really has been, and I've always loved all styles of music, whether it's music theater or rock or pop or classical. So I just felt always grateful to be involved in it in any way I could.
So post-high school, you serve a mission for the church. Where did you serve?
I served in Paris, France.
In Paris, France.
Yeah, and my mom is from Belgium, and she also served in France as a missionary after she joined the church, and so it was exciting to... I'd studied French a bunch, but it was great to be able to learn it very well and to be able to speak French with her after my mission was really great.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Post-France, you go to BYU, and you get not only a bachelor's degree, but also a master's. Tell us about your time at BYU and the kind of things that you did and how that helped you get to where you are today.
Well, Mack Wilberg was the conductor of the concert choir when I got to BYU, and so obviously meeting him was huge. I mean, he's just one of the greats.
And what year was this then? So how long have you known Mack?
So my freshman year was 1989, and then I served my mission after that and came back to BYU.
But you met
finished.
Mack in 89?
That's when I began singing in concert choir.
Okay.
And I think I knew by that point. In fact, I know that I knew that I wanted to be a choir director. And so I asked Mack for advice, and I said, I'm studying piano performance and organ. was added later to my degree, actually. But I said, is that what I should be doing? And he said, absolutely. He said, if you want to be a conductor, you really should have an instrument that is excellent. As you're standing in front of orchestras or other things, they kind of need to know that you've paid your dues and earned your time at excelling at an instrument as well.
And that instrument for you became?
It was piano.
The piano.
Yeah, piano, and then I added organ to my degree later, and then I stayed at BYU to study choral conducting with Mack Wilberg and Ron Staley, who, had a very big influence on me, of course, so...
Here you are at the Tabernacle Choir. What is it that makes this choir unique, not just musically, but spiritually?
It's interesting. When you ask me that question, I think it's okay for me to share this. When I was auditioning myself to be a director of the choir, I had an interview with the First Presidency, and President Eyring asked me that same question. He said, what makes this choir different from other choirs you've directed? And my answer, without a doubt, was the Holy Ghost. When the choir sings, you can feel the Spirit. And I've directed many choirs that are excellent, where I think you can be moved by their performances. But when this choir sings, there is nothing else quite like it, and the feelings that it stirs in people. And so I think that's what makes this choir unique.
Most people won't know that the choir really has a direct reporting relationship to the First Presidency, and most of the time that is done through President Mike Leavitt, who's responsible for that relationship. At this last the last General Conference here in April, I saw something happen that I've never seen happen before, and that was that our prophet, President Nelson, stood and invited you and Mack to come down and to shake hands with him, and I believe many others of the members of the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12. First off, am I remembering that correctly?
You are, and I don't know a lot of the backstory to that, just that we were asked to do it. And so we came down, and it was just, I think, a really beautiful gesture of appreciation from the prophet, which was, of course, I'll never forget.
Had you ever had that happen in the 17, 18 years you've been here?
No. I've met the prophet on occasion, but I've never been called down like that at the end of General Conference. That was unique.
It was really something. I was there sitting in the audience and watching 21,000 people that were there, witnessing in the moment what was happening. And to me, it felt like a beautiful act of ministering.
It really was. And, I think our prophet just cares about the individual, and that really came through. So.
Well, I wish everyone also could have seen that and felt that, because he does care about individuals. Music is something that is special and sweet to President Nelson as well. It's been a part of his life for his entire life. And his wife, in fact, his first wife, Dancel Nelson, was a member of the Tabernacle Choir for many years.
Yeah, and he's a great musician.
And he's a great musician,
yeah.
Absolutely, especially on the piano and the organ a little bit, as you share. So as you think about the role of the choir, and you think about the ministering effort that even President Nelson has done to you and to Mack and to so many others, what is the role of the choir in uplifting people around the world and in ministering to people around the world?
Well, I think you just said what the role is. It is to uplift people and to minister. And I think when the choir sings, we hope that people feel a connection or a closeness to the divine. And I think we hope they feel some of the divine in themselves as well, and that God loves them. And, I think there's so much happening in the world that is divisive and dark, and I think the choir is really good at cutting through that and helping us remember who we are, that we're brothers and sisters, that we're connected to each other, and that, we are all connected to God.
So as you're putting together music, you mentioned that you're just about to or are starting to work on one for General Conference coming up here in just 4 or so weeks, probably less than that by the time this airs. How do you write and arrange music? You have your own style, which I'm sure everyone does, and I'm starting to learn that and see it and feel it as I watch, and listen to the music. How do you write and arrange this music? What do you see? What do you feel as you're putting it together?
That's a good question. I think a lot of times when people ask me that, they're looking for a process, like I do this and then I do this, and it's really not like that. Every arrangement's a little different, and flashes of inspiration come in different ways. And sometimes I'll get a piece of the chorus first or the verse, and sometimes the introduction is the very last thing I write. So it really depends, and a lot of times I'll sit down at the piano and just improvise and record it and look for ideas, but always trying to hopefully feel the spirit. And I would never want to write something without God's help, and just making sure I had His divine help as I do something.
So as I mentioned earlier, when I'm watching you, perform's not the right word, but do what you do in conducting these choirs, you have a smile on your face. How do you maintain spiritual focus and energy in such a demanding role? What's your secret to doing that?
A lot of prayer. I'm very prayerful about what I do, whether I'm rehearsing the choir or selecting music or writing music. And then this is maybe a more general approach, but I actually make time to exercise every day, and make time for studying the scriptures and just being spiritual. If I keep those two things in check, then I feel pretty balanced, and I feel like I have the energy I need, and I have the spiritual strength that I need. So,
well, those are good things to keep in check. Someone once said you and I look a little bit alike, and I agree. We're the same height. The only difference is you have muscles in your belt, and now you've given your secret. It's that gym time every day that you're getting in.
Yeah,
that's good to know.
I mean, there's a lot of sitting in my job, especially when you're writing music, and you have to have some sort of physical outlet, I think.
Yeah,
so
good. So we mentioned earlier you've had a relationship with Mack for more than 3 decades now. How do you work together? Because you work together so well. How do you work together in selecting and shaping the music for music in the spoken word, and just overall in your everyday business?
Well, I'll start by saying there's no one better to work with than Mack Wilberg. He is, one of the most talented musicians I've ever known, and one of the most humble too. And so just working with him is a joy, and I credit him with, most of the things I know and that I do. It's from watching him, whether it be rehearsing the choir, writing music. When I worked with him at BYU years ago, I was blown away just by how hard he strove to make things perfect, and his attention to detail. And then I took a break and went to Boston and did other things, and came back and worked with the choir, and was blown away again that he's only become more so in the last 35 years. I mean, his dedication to excellence and to his craft just being the highest it can be has been so inspiring to me. And so it challenges me to never give up and to always do my best as well. In terms of selecting music, he's really great to include me. I sort of consider myself like a counselor in a bishopric, where I say, how can I support you? How can I help you? But he's great to come, and we talk through things, and he plays through things for me if we go on tour, and says, what do you think of this? And he asks for my advice and my opinion, and so he makes me feel very included in the process, and he's just a dream to work with.
That's wonderful. So as you think about the choir moving forward into the years to come, undoubtedly it's here and it will be here, how do you think about balancing tradition? We have so much tradition, and beautiful, wonderful tradition that is really timeless. How do you balance tradition with innovation in the choir's repertoire?
Well, I think, like you said, the tradition is important. It's what makes us who we are, and the tradition probably always needs to be there so that we have continuity. But the great thing about the choir is just the wide variety of music. So within a half an hour show, we'll do music of the masters, we'll do a folk song, we'll do Broadway, we'll do inspirational music. And so the innovation, I think, comes in being open to the new trends in the choral world, new music that's being written, and as the choir hopefully pulls in new audiences. And so going to Argentina brought in some music that we had never done before and might not have done if we hadn't gone there. And so there's a lot of God's children on this great planet, and being aware of them and the things that will touch them, I think, will expand the choir's repertoire over time, and hopefully allow us to reach even more people to feel God's love.
Wonderful. As you think about so many broadcasts that you've participated in now, because even when you're not conducting on a Sunday broadcast, you are very, very often there.
I'm there, yeah. If I'm not conducting, I'm down with the sound guys, and that's been a really great education for me. We have fantastic sound technicians, and they're really great to let me be involved. And so if I'm not conducting, I'm saying, here comes the oboe solo, bring that out a little bit, or we got a tenor sticking out, turn them down. Yeah, if I'm not conducting, I'm there. Yeah. So
it's wonderful seeing you do that. It was something I don't know that many people know about, right? But I've seen you running over to this little floating hidden room that we have near the Tabernacle beneath ground.
Right.
And sitting in there and helping to give comments and direct. And it's a wonderful example of being a team player. This assignment, this work that you've had for these 17 years has precluded you from attending your own church service very often. How do you work to ensure that you are receiving the inspiration that you need, that you're where you need to be spiritually, and that you're juggling all of that, but making sure that you're never neglecting the things that matter the very most, which are your relationship with our Heavenly Father and His Son, Jesus Christ? How do you do that in your life? How do you find time for that?
Well, I think you have to make time for it because it's really easy for the demands of the day to overcome it. And so it has to be a key piece. And if that's missing from my day, I don't feel like I'm operating at the highest level. I mean, this choir and this program we do every week is really to glorify God. And so He has to be first in what we do. And so he's got to be a part of everything we do, and I have to make time for that each day.
Well, as we prepare to wrap up here, what are you most proud of in your life as you've spent now a lifetime of music and many, many more decades to come still? What are you most proud of?
Well, in terms of the choir, I don't know if I'd use the word proud, but I guess I would use the word happy. and I'm happy that the choir helps people. One of my most treasured letters I received was from someone who was going through chemotherapy treatments and just expressed their great appreciation that the choir gave them strength. Listening to the choir gave them strength to help them get through that trial in their life. And so to be involved in something that's meaningful to people, that helps them make it through difficult times, that gives them peace and gives them comfort, that makes me happy, and I suppose that makes me the most proud.
Why do you do what you do?
I think I do it so that people can have those experiences, so they can feel God's love for them, and so they can know that God is in their corner and will help them make it through.
As we close, if you could share with others what the power of music has done for you in your life, what would that answer be?
Wow, that's such a great question. The power of music has allowed me to stay and feel connected to my Heavenly Father. It's allowed me to make it through difficult times. It's allowed me to feel like I could be a vehicle to share God's love for other people. And it's allowed me, I think, to be a part of something excellent. And so it's just been such a blessing in my life in so many ways. It's really hard to even begin to describe it.
Well, those are beautiful descriptors, and we collectively know that there is a power in music. We feel that every Sunday morning as we're there in the Tabernacle or the Conference Center, and as we have unique opportunities to hear from people about what it's done for them in their life. So as you think about so many years and now even decades worth of experiences that you've had with the choir, is there one memorable experience that stands out, not necessarily above the rest, but that is a shining example of the good that the choir can do?
Well, there are many experiences that stand out, but one that had particular meaning for me was that, I actually went to Sandy Hook School as a child. And so when that terrible tragedy happened at that school, it affected me very personally and very deeply. As I saw those images on TV, those were halls that I walked as a kid. And I still had friends in the town that had children at that school. And so the choir actually did a music in the spoken word broadcast that was dedicated to the memories of the victims and to the survivors that tragedy. And so we selected music that was designed to comfort and to bring peace and to help people get through that just terrible tragedy. And so it was very healing for me to be able to reach out in that way and share music and in some way help my town that was grieving at that point. So it's just one example of the many ways the choir is able to reach out and help people feel God's love and God's peace at a difficult time.
Well, those descriptors, those words that you use are the very words that show the impact of the choir to the world, offering songs of hope, of comfort, of peace, and of healing. And just like that terrible day and tragedy at Sandy Hook, and there's been other difficult circumstances that have come, one of the major purposes of the Tabernacle Choir and of music and the spoken word is to do that very thing, to deliver those feelings, to say, it can be okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have a God that understands the deepest, darkest, most challenging complexities of our lives. Trust in that. Onward and upward. It can be okay.
Exactly.
Thanks for sharing that. Ryan, thanks again for being here with us today. We're so grateful to have you and that you would take this time to share these many wonderful memories and experiences, and that we just get to learn a little bit more about you as well.
It's been great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.